Welcome traders, and in this video we're going to be looking at the dollar index. So in previous blogs we have already discussed what the dollar index is on a brief level, and I have broke it down many times on TradingView. But essentially what the dollar index is, or the DXY, is basically it controls the value of the dollar. And we can use that then to obviously navigate our way to find trading setups on other major currency pairs that hold the dollar. So it can affect lots of goods, trade, investor, any person with interest looking to find out more about the dollar. Ultimately, the dollar index will provide you with that information about where the dollar is heading. Now, the dollar index is set at 100.00, and then obviously if the number is, like for example now, 92.148, that means that from the initial start price of the DXY it has declined roughly 8%. So it basically determines the percentage change in the value of the dollar. Now you can use pretty standard Forex techniques in order to actually break it down, use Fibonacci, key levels, etc. When the dollar does break out, as we've seen before, it can actually move in quite a forceful direction, especially when it is attached to certain news or certain announcement that actually might be lining up on those weeks. Now we've had many traders come through and actually trade our funded accounts in and around the major US news, which has helped some and obviously had a negative impact on others. But obviously it is one of the more volatile, it can be more volatile currency pairs when you start trading those majors. So as we look at the other currency pairs, such as the Euro USD, we can see a recent drop here on the daily. And if I was to navigate over to the dollar index, we can actually see the movement up. And this is done because obviously the dollar has recently increased in strength over the last weeks, which has brought the price of the euro versus the dollar down, because obviously the dollar is the second currency within that currency pair. If there was euro strength and dollar weakness, then euro versus the dollar would then increase and the price of that currency pair would go up. But here obviously we can see price of the dollar has increased over the last few weeks, which has enabled the Euro USD to actually drop in price. So by looking at the dollar index on the daily, weekly and monthly time frames in order to identify where the dollar shifts are happening, it actually gives you a lot more better sentiment when it comes to actually finding viewpoints on biases for certain currency pairs, and it can actually be an added confluence as to when you're actually entering a certain trade setup. So by actually studying the dollar index and having it as part of your watch list, it will actually put you ahead of some of the other curve regarding the other traders out there, and it will actually put you in a position where you understand the market sentiment for the dollar and what trend it is in, and basically the whole scenario around the dollar on a higher time frame. It's possible to take advantage of the dollar index when it comes to actually trading those major currency pairs, but also we can actually trade indices such as US 30 and also potentially take advantage of gold in other ways, perhaps maybe trading commodities such as gold or oil. Obviously XAU USD and also US oil, those can be commodities that you could be trading in an alignment with the way that the dollar moves and your overall viewpoint on what's happening with the dollar. At the moment, obviously, dollar is actually fairly mid-range in terms of looking at it on the monthly chart. But obviously, if we were to actually break any of these support levels, then we could come actually a little bit lower on the dollar index. So as mentioned, the dollar index is one to actually get caught up on a lot of news, and it can actually be quite fundamental driven, depending on where the market structure is actually occurring, and obviously we need to take into account the manipulation that will occur, because even the dollar index, even though it moves a fairly substantial pace, we can see here potential breakout here of the support, and then the fact that we pulled all the way up and then come all the way up into the highs again. There's areas of manipulation as well on the dollar index which you do need to study and sort of backtest your own strategies on the dollar index chart. But by viewing the index and understanding the value that sits behind the dollar, then that's going to really bolster your impact on if you're going to be a successful trader or not. So that's all for this video, and make sure that you do actually add the dollar index to your watch list if you do actually trade any of the major currency pairs. That's it for this video. Take care guys, and happy trading.